I'll tell you this, Charles. For the past 4 years from this location, New York headquarters, you and I have been discussing ad nauseum, perhaps one of the stupidest individuals to roam the earth on 2 feet. And it's unbelievable, defies words, how even in the last days, Joe Biden just keeps getting stupider.
And more dangerous. I had the good fortune, I broke in my TV and I was able to watch Donald Trump's press conference in full. And he makes the excellent point that forget about Afghanistan. That's really bad, what we did there. But with a stroke of a pen, destroying the value of our offshore energy assets, or much of our offshore energy assets, he estimated in the press conference, that's between 30 and $75 trillion. This idiot has just placed out of reach by the stroke of a pen. Now, Trump is certainly going to challenge it, but that's more than our entire national debt. And for that act alone, thinking that a president has that type of power, not talking to Congress, not consulting the public, never mentioning that he might do this when he ran for office or as he pretended to run for office, this is an impeachable offense in my view. And in addition to that, he let drop, there's a Daily Caller piece and there are multiple confirming pieces, that he's considering preemptive pardons. Now, I don't think a preemptive pardon was ever constitutionally contemplated. I just don't think that. You can't give a president the power to give, let's say, a cartel, a massive criminal, a get out of jail free card forever for all future crimes. I mean, you can't do that. And if he tries to do that, I think in the end, it'll be undone. And in the case of the Clintons, because the article specifically mentions that Hillary Clinton is in line possibly for a pardon.
Wow.
But I don't think there's any way that you can pardon all of the people involved with the sprawling Clinton Foundation charity crimes. You're talking about tens of thousands of donors. You're talking about maybe between the trustees and management, 100 people. You're talking about many, many filings that are still defective. And if they keep these things going, pretending that they were okay, then they compound the fraud with every subsequent filing. So I don't think you can do it for the foundation. You may be able to do it for Hillary and Benghazi, but then why wouldn't Bill want a pardon? And why wouldn't Chelsea want a pardon? And suddenly the list goes on and on and on. So if he's seriously thinking of opening up that can of worms, in the end, it's not going to work for him. And I really think it'll end. I mean, perhaps Joe Biden will die before it's resolved. But I mean, this man is worse than Jimmy Carter by far, worse than Warren Harding by far, worse than Idi Amin. I mean, he's really dangerously stupid, as is Nancy Pelosi. And now we're about to see conclusive evidence of what you and I discerned when we were down there on January 6, 2021 in Washington, D.C. It was a setup. The feds were delighted to see people like you and me there. And what they wanted to do was incite a violent riot so they could mischaracterize it and use that event to stamp out the MAGA movement. That was their goal. And that is certainly not a set of powers that was delegated to anybody in our government. So once we get to the 20th, there's somebody, I think O'Keefe is circulating some notice from some department in the government that's saying to expect mass hospital casualties or the equivalent on January 20th. Yeah.
What do you mean hospital casualties?
In other words, O'Keefe got some notice either from a whistleblower or Intercepted or whatever, purporting to warn some federal agency to prepare for a mass hospital casualty event on January 20th. Now, I certainly hope that doesn't happen. And I suspect that Donald Trump and the people around him are going to be super cautious. But, this is a president, a fake president, who clearly cannot discharge his constitutional duties, surrounded by a cabinet that, for whatever set of reasons, probably mostly bad, has decided not to exercise their constitutional duties, which call for the cabinet to remove either temporarily or permanently a president if that president is not functioning. And Ronnie Jackson, previously, I think, on one of the White House doctors, I forget what his exact title was, caring for both Bush and Obama, when he ran for Congress, won, and immediately called, in 2021, I think he called for Biden to be tested in a serious way as to whether he's cognitively competent. And it's clear he's not. So we have a mess in the UK, in the US. We have a mess in Canada with Trudeau sort of resigning, but I guess there hasn't yet been a transition. And Trump beginning to explain just how seriously the Chinese Communist Party has infiltrated Canada. And so we have, in our neighbor to the north, we have a compromised government. And our neighbor to the south is run by drug cartels. Our other partner in the special alliance across the Atlantic appears to be perhaps even implicated in this decades-long child rape scandal involving hundreds of thousands of girls and boys. You know, this is a disgusting set of circumstances to be in. And honestly, you know, Keir Starmer is having emergency meetings, the Prime Minister of the UK, with Macron to discuss how to handle Trump. Don't waste your time. Because if I were Trump, I would say effective January 20th at noon, England, under this government, the UK is no longer in a special relationship with the US. We do not trust you. We do not respect you. We do not honor you. We don't want you anywhere near our important secrets. Your civilization is disgusting that it would cover up this. Ours is disgusting. There are 250 to 300,000 missing children in America. You know, instead of caterwauling like a banshee about climate change, especially the female members of Congress should be up in arms about this, demanding we have no business doing anything outside our borders if we don't have borders and we can't track down 250,000 missing children. I don't want to hear about, you know, NASA, Space Force, anything. Inside our country, immediately tell me where these 250,000 people are. And, you know, to abduct a child, that person is going to be damaged for that person's entire life, and who knows what damage may be caused if that person decides to have children. I mean, this is really a national disgrace in the U.S., an international disgrace involving the U.K., and Bumblehead is off to, I think he's stuck in Los Angeles with his wife. Couldn't get out because of these stupid fires, which shouldn't be happening. I mean, there are easy ways to stop all this, as Trump explained very patiently months ago. And he was, you know, treated like he was a 6-year-old kid with the observations he was making, which were spot on. We have a mayor in Los Angeles who was on vacation in Ghana. What the fuck was she doing in Ghana? Well, yeah, I've been to Ghana. It's a nice place, but the mayor, there's no reason. Yeah, it's very nice, but the mayor of Los Angeles should be focusing on problems which are like homelessness and raging fires and expensive neighborhoods, an anti-capitalist profile which is causing only the very rich. You talk about inequality, probably the most unequal city in terms of wealth is Los Angeles. Contrast Beverly Hills with all of the tent cities on the interstates there.
Skid Row, downtown.
And Skid Row. So you've got an incompetent spendthrift mayor off on vacation. You have a spoiled brat governor who has been taking, there's a lot of water up north in Northern California, in Oregon and Washington, that instead of piping it to the water scarce places, they're piping it into the Pacific Ocean. And these people have no business. The governor, the mayor, and the president of the United States have no business holding any type of authority over anybody other than themselves. They are manifestly incompetent, and they are actually burning down. As these fires burn, the Democratic Party is being burned to the ground by these fools and these corrupt donors. It is being burned to the ground. Only an idiot or a criminal would give money to a Democrat politician right now.
I remember this thing in 2014, but I don't think I really was paying attention to what it was about, and I don't remember the details of it. You know, Charles, this neighborhood, Pacific Palisades, I've been there, obviously. I lived in Los Angeles for a number of years, and the first time I was contemplating moving to Los Angeles, I think I've told you this many times when we've walked past on 52nd Street. I used to work for this company, Crest Films, and I remained friends with the boss, the guy who owned it, and he got into 3D of all things later on. So we remained in touch, and he actually, this is exclusive video I have right here that he's just sent me of the neighborhood, the house I helped them move into years ago. It's totally burned to the ground. And this guy's house, I mean, this dude is a super millionaire. This house, the artwork, the cars, the things that have been destroyed, this is billions of dollars. There's no insurance company that's going to be able to pay for this.
No, the insurance companies, because California mandated that the premiums only get to a certain level, the insurance companies canceled insurance. So James Woods, for example, who's 77 or 78, his entire house burned down and he has no insurance.
Whoa.
You know?
Wow.
This is what happens when you let economically illiterate, stupid people have control of government. I mean, forget about, people talk about we got to make sure elections are secure. No, we have to make sure that candidates know basic arithmetic, basic finance, basic economics, English grammar, American history. I mean, these people, recently, for example, the House just voted down the Lake and Riley Act. Lake and Riley was that poor person who was savagely murdered in a good way. 159 people in the Democrats voted against it.
Wow.
159. I think it carried the House, but
it's like the British people voting for rape, right? It's like, what the hell? What's?
It's ridiculous. I mean, it really is ridiculous, and it's sad. I was born in Los Angeles, actually, and it's
Look
sad.
At this devastation, Charles. I mean, this is crazy.
It looks like Baghdad.
Well, I was going to say, if there was a war and you bombed the place, I don't think it could be any worse than this.
Right.
Every single building is destroyed completely.
Yeah, and good luck trying to put it back together.
Well, that's just it. What's going to happen now? I mean, this is just going to be a derelict, giant area of Los Angeles. Who's going to have the money to go back there?
This is Bidenomics. Here you have, the video for Bidenomics. That Peter Baker, I don't know what they have on that guy at the New York Times, the columnist who just recently wrote an article saying that Biden is bequeathing to Trump a fantastic economy. It's really doing well. A Biden administration did all kinds of great. What is in that guy's cereal? I mean, it's just ridiculous what he says.
Yeah, I mean, Charles, it's amazing what's going on. It's I'm literally without words, but let's just shift for a minute to the slightly more lighthearted theme for today. Greenlander, obviously this is fantastic idea by you, based on Zoolander. And here we've got Trump, making a Zoolander face with his best buddy there, Elon Musk. Well, first of all, I was watching, or rather listening while I was driving to the press conference. I have to say, that was like the Trumpiest press conference in history. I super loved it. He said, we're going to rename the Gulf of Mexico. We're going to take Canada. And the guy says to him, this is some journalist like, well, can you assure the public that you won't use military force? No. Just to reiterate, I cannot reassure that we won't use military force. Yeah. It's just so amazing. And so what is he going to do here with Greenland and Canada? I mean, it seems thrilling, but getting down to reality, is he going to be able to do this? And should he?
Who knows? Well, yes, who knows? And we'll see. I mean, in the case of Greenland, I happen to have some, not inside knowledge, but my daughter's husband is a travel expert, and he was just in Greenland in the last several months. And before this came up, he was explaining that the Greenlanders, the residents, loathe the Danes, loathe them. And so this has been a long-standing dispute between the residents on Greenland and the mothership in Copenhagen. Of course, if the Copenhagen group, if it loses Greenland, then it becomes a very, very small country, and so they don't want to do that. On the other hand, the Greenlanders apparently want independence or want freedom. And if you start thinking about it, who's going to be better able to protect Greenland? Denmark or the United States? So I don't know where this ends up. And even Fetterman, suddenly, I guess he's gotten great medical care because suddenly he's making a lot of sense. He says obviously he wouldn't support a military takeover of Greenland, but I don't think that's what Trump is saying. Fetterman said, well, if we're talking about buying it, maybe that is a good idea. And I would agree with that. Why not? I remember one of my earliest memories as a child was when Alaska and Hawaii became states. When I was born, there were 48 states. So I don't have a problem with, if we can afford it, I don't have a problem with that at all. Likewise, on Canada, the problem with Canada is it's basically a bankrupt operation. I mean, it's got these tremendous resources, and oil and gas resources and other resources. It has some industry, but it has gigantic bureaucracies, systemic deficits in government, and we're subsidizing the country. And I love, somebody, I think it might have been Trudeau reacted to Trump's comments. And I think it was Musk who says to all of us that we've got to be positive. But Musk referred to his response was something like, "Girl, you're no longer governor of Canada."
I don't know. Elon Musk is a little bit of a hypocrite when it comes to things that he wants other people to do that he's not necessarily doing. But yeah, I mean, this concept of the Greenland thing being like a Louisiana Purchase style, why not? And Canada, I mean, look, I agree. We don't have to do anything, but Canada's talking all tough. He's like, oh, maybe we should buy Alaska. It's like, oh, with our money? Sorry. Take the credit card from them, and nobody wants Trump even said, we don't need their milk. We don't need their cars. Rather have the car. And they're not even designing the cars. They're just probably putting factories there to take advantage of something to do with NAFTA. Like, what the hell is Canada going to do if we weren't floating them?
Exactly. And there's a large element inside Canada that, the truckers, remember, and others who were sick and tired of these oligarchs. And remember that whole situation that is related to the Clinton Foundation, those two drug people, pharmaceutical people who were found dead in their home. And that inquiry is still not conclusively explained what actually happened there. There are allegations that the top fundraiser to Trudeau and his party, the top fundraisers, are corrupt as hell.
Here's an article from just a day ago on that, Charles. Look at this. India blooms. Barry and Honey Sherman were murdered, say police. Obviously, we know that. Oh, well, no, actually, first they said it was a suicide. So it says, concluding an ongoing investigation, Toronto police have said on Friday that billionaire Barry and Honey Sherman were murdered in a targeted killing. Last month. By whom? Well, Barry is one of Canada's richest, but this is talking about last month. Oh, yeah, this is from 2018. Why did it say a week ago? 1 day ago, this says. But the article, that's weird.
Yeah.
Well, here's something from May. I agree. This is a very mysterious case.
Right. And so honestly, Canada, I think, is in the G7. Why? Right? I mean, I like Canada, but I mean, it's certainly not one of the 7 most important nations on earth.
No.
Right?
And what you were saying about China, Pierre Trudeau, David Hawkins used to always tell me, was the first guy to hang out with Mao. And he really loved all these crazy Chinese dictators, shaking their hands, made a little Super 8 movie with him, went to visit Mao. And, they also had that whole issue where China hacked Nortel. And that's how Huawei came about, stole all that technology. So they're basically just funneling, sort of like Joe Biden, funneling technology, funneling money, basically selling us all out, then allowing the place to burn down on his way out the door. And as you said, he's probably going to be dead within months or a few short years.
Uh, well, the think tanks I call stink tanks that are promoting this unregulated globalism, even now, the Atlantic Council and the Atlantic Magazine and Brookings Institution and Rockefellers and all these people. I mean, it's just should be crystal clear to even a dunce by now that unregulated globalism doesn't work. It just doesn't work at all. I mean, you have I first went to the UK in 1976, and it was in deep shit then, under Labour government. And it took until Thatcher got in, and then several years for it to get sort of on the right trajectory. But ever since then, it's been compromised. And, it's a favorite place for the unregulated globalists to hang out. Until recently, you were safe and secure. And you could swan about and have a big old time there. Now, I mean, I dread going to the UK. I have to go there next month. I mean, the airport at Heathrow is disgusting. The area around Heathrow is disgusting. The center of London has the New York City problem, Manhattan problem of beggars everywhere, bums everywhere, filth everywhere, and now crime. And this idiot mayor in London is, radical leftist, like the prime minister, and he's just being knighted.
Unbelievable. We got nothing but idiots running as mayors in basically every city, everywhere. It's unbelievable. We got idiot mayor in Los Angeles, idiot mayor in London, idiot mayor here in New York.
Yeah, that's not the mayor of Los Angeles, I think.
That's the mayor of London.
Oh, London. Sadiq, I think his name is spelled C-O-N.
Yeah, exactly. So the mayor of Los Angeles, some British guy was interviewing her or trying to interview her at the airport, and she was like, "Oh, I gotta go." She just basically Karen Bass.
She's a placeholder. She's a placeholder, as is Adams. I mean, they want weak placeholders in these roles, and then they have the wise people pulling the strings behind for the benefit of the donor class. That's the model. That's Biden. That's Bush. That's Obama. That's Clinton. It's not Trump, though. So actually, before we have to break, I want to show people my latest acquisition.
Oh, yes. People were super impressed with the Charles Ortel Presidential Library on the other day's show. So for people who aren't sponsoring and didn't get to see that, now is a wonderful opportunity for a little tour. In just about 2 minutes, we're going to continue. Please take us, Charles. In 2 minutes, we're going to continue on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com, and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. We get this amazing tour through Charles's incredibly impressive apartment, and you've got this beautiful Buddha statue there.
Yeah, it's on top of a book about medicine, because one of my ancestors was a doctor who came from Bristol in about 1718 to Virginia. And so I have a map at the Framers that's going to go over this of Bristol from 1664.
Tip down just a bit if you can, Charles, so we can see more of that statue there. Oh, yeah, there. I see the book. Very nice.
Yeah. And then
like how I'm giving you camera direction now?
I like it. I like it. And here's the map of Denmark.
Ah, you got to erase Greenland from that.
Exactly, from the 16th century. And just here is the front door. Check that out.
Wow, that looks super secure. I like that lock. Oh my gosh, Charles. This is an impressive place, I have to say. Most people, including me, nobody's ever seen an apartment like this. A very strong door, strongly closing.
And this is actually a boot jack from an ancestor in Montana in the 1860s.
I don't have any idea what that is.
This is the view.
Wow.
Of the hill in the back.
My gosh.
It's a park.
Charles, you're like a James Bond character living in this place now.
Well, now we'll return to the Presidential Library.
Yes, it's extremely impressive, Charles. I'm blown away, absolutely. And people are commenting on the Masonic checkered floor. I warned you about that. You said, no, it's a nice checkered floor. But I knew people would say that. Anyway, Charles,
Masonic.
I know. With that, We will depart and be back in just a moment. I do encourage people, if they are not yet sponsors, to please become one. Join us on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. I am back in New York. I couldn't be doing these road trips without the sponsorship of generous viewers like those who are sponsoring the show. So thanks to everyone.